Welcome back. This is the third practice in our series of 4, and we're calling this one a containment practice. So unlike the other practices, we're going to start to build a little bit more energy in the body. We're going to encourage you to feel into your edges, or where you end and the rest of the world begins. And as well as encouraging you to take up a little bit more space. So the setup of this one is done in sitting. Well, we'll encourage you to do that, but I'll give you some options to move into standing if that's available to you. In terms of the props that you'll need, I've just got an exercise band handy, something with a little bit of resistance to it, but you could also use a belt if you're at home, a scarf, or if you have none of those things, you could use your hands or nothing at all, which will be completely fine as well. So let's start off by getting a little bit more of a sense of our bodily boundaries. So we'll do that with some tapping. Now I'm going to start with my left arm, and I'm going to take my right hand and just kind of gently but intentionally start tapping from my wrist up through my arm to the shoulder and back down again. Now, if you're someone that doesn't necessarily like this feeling or sensation of tapping, you could opt for something that's a little bit more like a brushing or stroking. That would work well also. So if you're going with the tapping, stay with me or join me for the brushing. I'm now going to flip my palm over so I can get to the inside aspect of the arm. Once again, making my way from the wrist up to the shoulder. Let's change sides. So going now to the right arm. So starting off at the wrist, gentle tapping up toward the shoulder, down to the wrist, and back up again. So know that you can pause the video if you want to linger in any of the parts of the practice. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a short demonstration. Flipping the palm over, moving up towards the shoulder again. So we can increase a little bit of sensation, sending a few more messages up to the brain of where we are in space. Now we'll take that from the arms, and I already feel a little bit of warmth and aliveness in my upper body from that. It might be different for you, but now we're taking that to the chest. So you might just, with your fingertips, lightly start tapping your collarbones, tracing the length of that bone out from the center of the chest, out towards the shoulder. You could tap across the very top of the chest. You could then come down and start tapping through the body, the sides of the rib cage, through the belly if that's comfortable for you. You could lean forwards and take that tapping through the back of the body, what you can reach anywhere. I can get to the base of my rib cage and then down to my hips before I bring it around to my thighs. And so you could even do one side at a time. I'm going to tap to my knees and then back up to the top of the thigh. Then I could come all the way down the front of the shin and back up. And you could do the insides of the legs as well as the outside. Take just a little bit longer with that, ensuring that you've awakened any areas that you're hoping to or that you're wanting to explore. And then we'll pause that there, maybe just sitting with the hands next to you, an option to close the eyes. And just notice what you can feel. As I alluded to before, perhaps some areas of the body feel a little bit more awake or alive, or even just in your awareness. Now, with whichever prop you've decided to use, let's pop that on or around. So I'm going to step into this band here and bring that up to my knees. But again, you could tie something around, or you could use your own hands pressing. We just want to create a little bit of resistance and a little bit of input or feedback into the body and the nervous system. And we'll start off, you can see with my knees about a hip distance apart. My feet are really flat and wide on the floor. So see if you can lengthen through the foot and relax those feet as well. And then we're going to push both knees out into the band, or the hands, whatever you're using, and then bring them back to that same hip distance apart. So the band I'm using is quite heavy, but I'm doing that intentionally because I want lots of input, lots of feedback. But you can decide just how far you go. Knowing that when we are hypermobile, the tendency is for us to want to really go to those outer reaches of our range. But there's sometimes a little bit more for us in terms of sensation, information in that first part of the range. So we're just going to do a few here. Notice if your body starts to hold the breath at any point, and just keep that flowing, keep it moving. There's no specific technique that I encourage you to apply at this point. And notice what happens as you're doing this movement. Does anything else change in your body? Does it create tension elsewhere? Does the spine want to change its shape? And ideally we keep a sense of really lengthened, upright spine positioning as we do this. I haven't got a lot of back support behind me, but if you're sitting in some kind of a chair that offers you that, then I'd encourage you to take that option. Last one here, and then what you can do is you can keep this band on, you can take it off. We will need it again in a little moment. And so I'm going to give you two options for the next one. So the first option will be that we can come up out of the seat and into a little heel raise. I won't do that because I'm going to disappear out of frame, but it would be lift up out of the seat as if you're coming to standing, heel raise at the top, lower both heels and come back down into your seat. And otherwise, if you're not getting out of the chair today, then you can lift one heel at a time, straighten that leg out, bend the knee, place the heel down. So it's the same movement or creating the same kind of muscular activity. Heel lifts, we straighten, we bend, we lower. You could do that two legs together. It's just a little bit trickier, a little bit more loaded for the body to do that. So I'm just going to opt for one today. Lift, extend, bend, and lower. Let's do one more round together. Hopefully you can feel a little bit more awareness through the thighs and even through the calves at the bottom. Now the next one, again, you're going to have two options. For those that are maybe kind of journeying up into a standing position, you can do that. And you're going to take hold of the back of one thigh and you're going to balance on one leg with the support of your arms holding that leg. If you're not journeying up into standing today, we're going to do exactly what I just showed you, which is a leg lift. So the tricky part with this one is that the body will want to lean back in space. And even trickier when we're in standing, there's so many places that the body can go. So I'll give you some different cues depending on what you're doing. But for those picking up the leg in a seated position, try to watch for the intention to lean back and keep the body nice and centered. And then just feeling that connection really deep into the front of the abdomen and into the thigh, which should feel a little bit different to the last exercise that we did. You can release that leg and change sides whenever you like. For those of us in standing, feel really grounded through that standing leg. Feel that pushing into the earth and the crown of the head reaching up to the ceiling. We'll do one more on each side. So this time, maybe it'll feel a little bit more familiar than the first time around. I won't say easier. Scooping up the leg. The knee will be around about the height of the hip. It's going to be a little bit higher naturally if you're in sitting. Soften any tension out of the upper body. Keep the breath flowing. Placing that foot down. Last time, I'm on the right side. You may have started with the other, and that's okay too. Long and tall through the body. Feel that connection to the muscles that support the leg being held up. One last breath here before you place this foot down. Well done. So we've done a little bit of activation through the lower body now, and including into the abdominals. If you've got a prop, let's grab that next. So there's a couple of ways this could look. It could look like you holding the prop and pressing out in front like so. It could also look like slipping the hands through and pushing lightly outward into the band. I don't mind which way you go. And if you don't have any of those props, you could also just move your arms through space. So we're going to do a little bit of pressing out into the space in front of us. So elbows start in by the side. Choose your prop or your position to start with. I'm going to do a little bit of a press out into this band. Remaining tall through the body. Extend the arms out. I'm going just about to shoulder height, but I'll go a little bit higher so you can still see my face. And then bend the elbows, tuck them back into the side of the body. So extend, feel into the space in front of you. And then bend, slide the elbows into the side. Extend, maybe exhale breath, couples nicely with this. Inhale, bend. 2 more here. Last one. Give the shoulders a little roll. You can place that band down next to you. A little bit of warmth and activity in the upper body now. So let's bring in a tiny little bit more activation through the abdominals, particularly those abdominals that rotate us. I'm going to keep this in fact, so if you've got something that you can pop between your knees, I've just folded my little band over so I can press into them or into it. But if you don't have that, you could always just bring your knees together to touch. So one knee can push into the other. All we're looking for here is a little bit of feedback. So once you're there, let's take the hands in behind the head. I just like to scoop in or support under the kind of the round bony part, the base of my skull. Reach the elbows out wide and make sure that you can kind of see the elbows in your field of view. Sometimes we can fall into this trap of really pulling those elbows back, which can, again, particularly for those of us that are hypermobile, lead to some problems there. So just elbows out in front, a little squeeze into the band or knees to one another. And we're going to bend forwards as if we're tapping the right elbow to the inside of the left knee. We come back up through the middle, we bend forwards, left elbow to the inside of the right knee. Same again, right elbow, inside of the left knee. And then left elbow to the inside of the right knee. Now you can keep going with that. If there's anything about that movement, or in particular the forward bending part of that movement that feels too much for you, you can always just default to a twist to one side and the other, which will do basically the same thing. So let's do one more together, each to each side. So sitting up nice and tall, rotate right elbow to the inside of the left knee. Big breath in through the middle. And last time, exhale, twisting to the right before you come back to the center. Now, if your arms are getting tired like mine, you can definitely take them down at this point. Otherwise, you can keep them behind your head. I'm going to encourage you to push the head back into the hands, just really gently, but until you can feel the muscles at the back of your body switch on. So for me, I feel the back of the neck, between the shoulders, and kind of like a line running down nice and close to my spine. Or you might feel just bits and pieces of that. So if you feel that, then you're probably onto the right thing. If you don't feel that, then maybe change something about the position of your hands. So when you're ready, just slowly releasing the hands back down, place them next to you, and I'll invite you to close the eyes. We've moved through a couple of bigger and a couple of smaller muscle groups. What can you feel here? Do you feel a sense of connection through the front of the body? Maybe you feel a little bit more through the back of the body. Maybe some areas jump out a little more at you. And if you still had anything between your knees, you can take that out at this point. And we're just going to finish with a little bit of breath. So if you're not already in a supported seat, then you can do that. Otherwise, you can just stay exactly where you are. Closing down the eyes. So we'll take this into a box breath, where we'll breathe in for 3, we'll hold for 3, and we'll breathe out for 3. Hold for 3. So let's do that together. Breathing in, 2, 3. Hold, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. Hold, 2, 3. Breathing in, 2, 3. Hold, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. Hold, 2, 3. One more round on your own. You can stay at 3, or you can extend this out to a count of 4. Release the breath when you feel ready. If the eyes were closed, blink them open. You can stay, linger here as long as you like. Otherwise, we'll see you on the mat for the next practice.